Welcome to a life of creation again.
Right?
I'm here with Ian again because we enjoyed cigars and talking about creation. So we're back at
Amen.
it.
It's good. It's different.
Yeah, I got that one from Claro Cigars. They, it's an online thing.
Oh.
Um, so I had bought a case from my brother, a watch case, travel watch case from their like sister company
Hmm.
called Case Excellence, I think. Anyway, they do humidors too and cigar cases. And they have Claro Cigars, which is a monthly subscription cigar company.
Mm.
But you can just buy 5 packs of things. So I bought 5 pack of that one, and then the one you had last time. Um, couldn't tell you the name of them,
Right.
but I think the one you have is was my favorite.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome.
I'm trying one from the Country Squire because I ordered pipe tobacco from. So I thought I'd try a cigar too.
Out of Mississippi.
Well, we won't just sit here and watch us smoke a cigar.
You know
Um,
what? That might be like AMSR to somebody, like us just sitting here and smoking cigars. There's somebody out there.
just
There's
well,
somebody.
then it needs to just be audio then.
Right.
'Cause they see the source.
Right.
Might ruin that career.
Right. There'll be somebody that's into it. They'll be like, those two guys are the most handsome guys I've ever seen, and I love them, and I just want them to
Smoke cigars for me.
smoke cigars for me, and I want to watch, which is very strange. But
Wow,
hey,
this one just got weird really fast.
right? God help us.
He does. He does. This one's not bad. So one of the things I kind of thought of, I think it came up while talking to someone else, and it so like I don't want specific numbers,
Hmm.
but how do you figure out what to charge for what you do?
Ooh, in in my creative business.
Yeah. Because I mean, you run your own company too,
Hmm.
so that I mean that's I mean you could probably even touch on that.
I think it's really the same principle. It's two things. Um, Maybe it's meant way more than two things. I say that all the time. I'm just like
It's
it's
two
two
things,
things, and it's not. But it's probably a lot more than two things. But I think one really important thing is first having an objective view on where you are in the market, right?
that's actually a really good point.
What do I have to offer? You know, one thing, I charge for a myriad of things, engineering being the thing I probably charge the most frequently for,
All right,
but also producing. I've done, features, whether it's singing or rapping, and I charge different rates on all those things because all those things are different markets. And
right,
I'm at a different level with all of those things versus the rest of the market. But then it's also what is it worth to me?
right,
So I think it's judging where I am objectively in the market. What is it really worth to me? And what's going to make me smile? Because if I'm being honest, especially when it comes to engineering, there are projects that I feel very little for
yes,
that I've worked on. And then there are projects that I feel like I would do this for free or dang near pay to do this, you know?
yeah,
And that also determines the price because, like, really, and I've had clients where I love their music, but they're difficult. If they're difficult, that price slowly starts to go up every time we work together. So
I think the moral of that story is don't be difficult.
don't be difficult.
You pay more. You pay the difficult premium.
You do indeed. If you're working with me, you do. Uh,
I think that's in most cases.
yeah. And I
Like
think those
if you're going
people,
to put in the time to deal with someone who's difficult, you charge.
yeah,
Otherwise, it's not worth it.
it's not worth it. And I think those people are hip to the fact that they might be slightly difficult.
But I think sometimes those people know they are, and are willing to pay extra because they know they are, and they know they will be able to be.
Yeah. And I don't mind that at all. I get it. I
Because it
get
is
it.
their art too, so you understand what they're why they're difficult. They have their vision.
I agree 100%. Um, and I think too, something that I learned was important is I don't let anybody else count my pockets. If somebody tells me I'm too expensive, I don't really hear that. What I hear is you can't afford me.
Right.
I'm not too expensive. Um, and it just depends on where you're at and what you're trying to do with your career. Sometimes I've taken gigs for less because I'm trying to get in certain rooms
Hmm.
or I'm trying to meet certain people or I'm just trying to get the ball going and it's been slow and I need some work, so I'll take it for a little bit less, but at the end of the day, don't let nobody count your pockets. Don't let nobody tell you, "Oh, I got somebody who'll do it for cheaper." Well, then hire them.
Go for it.
Yeah, like that's fine.
I mean, you and I both got wives. We'd rather spend time with them than
Exactly.
work for less than, what we think we should get.
Exactly.
I mean, that was one of the reasons I kind of stopped doing concerts so much is, some of these online zines give you 40 bucks and a photo pass. I'm like, I have a full-time job. I have a wife. I'm good.
Yeah.
Unless it's like you said, it's a band that I would probably pay to go to see, and I'm like, you'll pay me 40 bucks to go and get the best seat in the house. Okay, I'll do it.
Exactly. You twisted my
Yeah,
arm.
I'll do that one. Or if it's just a band I really want to see, it's like I can use my talent to get by my way in.
Yeah.
I may not get paid for it, but I'm like, I didn't have to pay for it. So it's for me that I'm at that point where if it's a band I really want to see and they are willing to give me a photo pass, sign me up.
So yeah, easy call.
Yeah.
How do you know what to charge? Especially you, because you've been doing this like full time for much longer than I have.
Well, I mean, I think coming from a corporate world, like most of my career at this point has been in the corporate retail space.
Right.
Um, and they have, a full HR department who has all these resources to determine how much I'm worth.
Right.
Um, I don't always agree with that, but um, I think for freelance, it's similar to you. It's like what is my time away from family worth?
Facts.
And if I take a job, it's not only am I take if I take a job that's during the day that I would normally be at my work.
Opportunity cost.
Right. So I mean, thankfully being in the corporate world, I have paid time off that I can
Right.
use, but those are hours I won't be able to take for my family or
Hmm.
something. So I have to be like, you know, I'm taking a strain, putting strain on my work to be gone. It's got to be worth it.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm more than happy to like work with people that I like and I want to help. And, that's the beauty of what we do. You know, you can trade, you can
Hmm.
be like, I really want to help this guy out. They're trying really hard and they just don't have anything right now. And then hopefully, if they make it big, they remember you.
Right.
Um, which doesn't always happen, but
No.
it's fine too. Um, but you can be like, well, I got to work with them before they were, whatever. Um, so yeah, I think for me, it's the what am I missing out on? Because you're taking now it's free time. You're taking
Right.
my free time, where or you're taking my full-time job's time, and so it's got to be worth that. And thankfully, I work for a boss who wants us to actually do freelance work. Like he encourages it because
Really?
he views it as you're gaining more experiences that you can then bring back to the company and utilize it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
So I even tell the people under me, like, hey, if you have an opportunity to go shoot something, we'll try and make it work for you. Obviously, this needs to come first, and you got to make sure we're covered and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the skills you learn working on your own, is you're learning problem solving, you're learning like how to direct and manage your time and all this stuff, which are all very important in the corporate world too.
Yeah.
Um, so thankfully, we try and encourage everyone to obviously they got to show up at work for at some point, but
Right.
it's you it's a valuable gaining experience is valuable.
Hey, man.
So I think if you are willing to let your employees, you know, a little freedom to go out in the world and experience new things, one, sometimes they come back very appreciative for their current position.
Yeah.
Um, because you see how hard it is out there. And if you work with, we work with freelancers a lot, and a lot of freelancers are struggling right now
Yeah.
because, studios have cut back, or, companies, instead of doing 4 shoots a year, are doing two.
Hmm.
So it's just like, having done, think I freelanced for 10 years before I started where I'm at. And, it was feast or famine,
Yeah.
and it was brutal. And I was very thankful for a paycheck every 2 weeks
Man.
and healthcare.
Boy, talk about that.
Still very expensive, but I'm glad I have.
Right.
So yeah, I think I just base it on, what do I value my time outside of work. My dad growing up, he was a music teacher for an elementary school district, and he wanted my mom to stay home with me and my brother. So he went every morning, left at like 6:45 a.m., went to school, taught, got off at like 3:30 or something, and then would drive to Disneyland and work Disneyland at
Oh
night
my.
so that my mom could stay home.
Wow.
And so, it was a blessing. We growing up, we got to go to Disneyland all the time and stuff like that. But it was like, I don't remember seeing my dad a lot as a kid.
Mm,
So to me, I'm like, I don't want to do that to my boys. I want to be home as much as possible, which is, why I'm doing this now.
right.
I can do this at home. Like, you came over after I put my boys to bed. So it's like,
Easy.
it's great. Um, and I'm thankful for what my dad did because, it gave us opportunity to have a mom who was there and stuff.
Hmm.
And he was around as much as he could, but there was definitely a season where I don't like. I remember we would we had like a little tape machine that we would like record like saying goodnight to him, or whatever, because we just never saw him that night.
Right.
Um, so you really do have to kind of weigh, you know, those things too.
Yeah. What is it really costing you to
To
go and do this other
Yeah,
thing? And
exactly.
is it at
The
least equal or where you don't feel like you're losing?
hmm
Yeah.
the part two to that question I had
Hmm.
was, when do you start charging? Because there's definitely, I feel like there's a period where you can't really charge. I mean, some people might give you some money,
Hmm.
but it's like you're still learning.
I think it probably varies industry to industry. I know for myself, in the beginning of doing most anything, I've noticed with creatives, and this has been true for me, in the beginning, what you're doing is usually with the homies. You know what I'm saying? I'm recording the homie. I'm singing on the homie's track. Making a beat for the homie.
Right.
So when it's for the homies, I don't really worry about charging. But when I've done enough work with the homies where outside people are starting to ask me,
Call you
hey,
up, yeah.
call me up and be like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Well, I don't know you, bro. You feel me? So it's time to charge. And even if
Right.
I charge a little bit, it's time to charge. And the reason I'm about that is because people value what they pay for.
Yes, that's true.
So I could be the best singer, rapper, writer, engineer in the world, but if I don't explain the value by how much I'm charging, they not gonna get it. A lot of people not gonna get it. If I was trying to sell you a a Rolex for $100, you would start asking me questions.
Yeah,
You feel me? Like, why are you selling it for $100? It's a Rolex. Why are you selling it for $100? That doesn't make sense. So again, I think that goes back to assessing where you are in the market, your skill level, and yeah, I mean, especially if somebody's coming to you, if you're coming, you need something from me.
right.
So
You,
it's
yeah,
time to charge.
right. You have a skill set that they require, and if they're coming to you, they already know they like what you do.
At least to a degree.
Right. Yeah, that was. I think I actually got paid for the first time, possibly near the end of high school, and it was just
Was it a concert?
yeah. And then all they did was like gave me $40 to help cover film costs. And but to me, I was like, this band is asking me to shoot them, and they're like helping with the cost. I was like, great.
How'd that feel the
That
first
was
time you got
amazing. It
paid?
was amazing. Like I remember, I'm old, so we had, the home phone number with the answering machine. I remember getting a call from um the singer of the band who was then working for a record label, and he was like, "Hey man, I want to hit you up. We're going to do, a festival of all of our bands. We want you to shoot it." And it was like, me putting in those times and showing up for them and just getting a little bit, now because of that, they're asking me to do a bigger thing. And then I shot that festival every year since basically.
Wow.
And I get paid more for it.
Right. Obviously.
But there was many years even with the label, they're like, we have no money to give you. I'm like, that's fine. I love you guys. I love what you're doing. You guys have, you know, supported me by just using my photos and my name's out there and like
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff. And then they had successful years and they, almost made up for, the years of not being paid. I
Right.
mean, I never got a ton, but it was just like there was a few years where I was like, you guys helped cover some bills for me. I appreciate it. You
Right.
know? Um, and yeah, I always felt weird charging bands though.
Why?
Um, well, I mean, I was going to see small bands most of the time.
Right.
Um, so like there was like kind of a local hardcore punk scene, and I just wanted to. I loved what they were doing. They were all cool people, and I'm just like, I'm here to document it for you.
Right.
I don't, you know, get me into shows if possible, but I'm here. My camera is yours, basically, and I would try and buy all their records and stuff because I had a job at that point, so I'm like, I don't need the money,
Hmm.
and I love what you guys are doing,
Right.
so I'm trying to support it. And I still have all the records. I don't listen to them, but
But you got them and
yeah,
you supported them.
yeah, and I still talk to some of those guys, and they've worked with me on some other things, and it's great. I'm like, I'm feel blessed to have been able to do that.
Amen.
but you do need to get paid at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Or, but I mean, that's you could have like for me at that point, I had a full-time job, so then I was able to bless other people with my skills
Right,
and not make them feel like they're they owe me anything.
right. And that's a blessing to be able to do that,
Yeah,
and to be in the position to do that.
makes me want to go to those shows again.
Right.
They were fun. Those were fun shows.
Go out there, get paid. Don't be price gouging, be real with yourself.
I think that's the thing. Be real, know your market. Because like you, even in the photo world, you could charge way more for a wedding
Exactly.
than, family portrait
Hmm.
or something. Or corporate events, where their checkbook is just open. But having done those, you still don't get paid enough.
No, no, no.
It's That's painful. But but I have a buddy who all he does is shoots weddings and events and he loves it. He travels the world doing it. And it's like, good for you, man. Not for me.
Right. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, he loved it. He just found his thing and is very successful at it.
And I mean, it's great. Even like, I've recorded like just in engineering. Um, I will say I've never done a feature for someone whose music I didn't like because if
That'd
I'm
be
gonna be
hard.
on the record, I better like the record. But I have recorded people who are starting out or I mean, I've done gigs where I'm just setting up a guy's, he's a live streamer who does karaoke. He just loves it. And I'm setting up his situation. He's so grateful. And it's like, it is nice to be able to bless people with the skills that God's
Yeah.
blessed you with,
Yeah.
you know. But also remembering like I have a responsibility to myself, to my family. And if I want to be able to pour into people not only with my skills, but also sow seeds like buying records from certain bands that
Yeah.
I like, or, buying merch, when I go to the show at the guy whose project I engineered, or, even being able to, I went on I DJ'd on a tour, my first international tour last year, and, me and the guy became good friends, and Otis Julius, check him out. Um,
I've watched some of his videos because of you.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Just like, what am I watching? What am I listening to? But I really like.
Yeah, he's fun. And I definitely the rate that I charged him would not be the rate that I charged some other people
Right.
because, he's also a Christian. Um, and that's like really how we connected. Because I was aware of him before he came to me. I actually met him randomly in an art gallery at the LACMA. And I was like, "Are you Otis Julius?" Because he's like super like king of DIY tours and stuff. Um,
Well, I mean, if you know him, you would definitely spot him in a crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, like, there's not a lot of guys walking around with a mullet. And, at the time, I think it was 2023 when we met. Um, Dang, that was a while ago. But, it's good to be able to be like, you know what, because of my other business and where I'm at in life and, the money I was making from other people's records and stuff. Yeah, dude, I can do it for, this price, which wouldn't, but I also get to go have a great experience with a really cool dude and it's worth it. So, but you got to charge people and sometimes have a little bit of money to be able to bless people in a certain way. Cause I think
Yeah.
sometimes people, they think, oh, I'm like chasing money. That's bad.
Mm-mm.
I want to say this on record. This is important to me. The Bible says that the love of money
Yes.
is the root of evil, not money itself. God does a lot of great things with money, and his people do a lot of great things with money.
Yes.
Money sows a lot of seeds. There's nothing wrong with being out here and making money, but it's what you do with it and how you are about it. So don't be afraid to charge. 'Cause I see homies like who play for people, and I've been in bands for free. As like basically a session player, I'm not
Hmm.
getting no money off the records and stuff because I love the music and I love the people. But there does come a time if you want to be a full-time musician, you want to be a full-time photographer, you want to be a full-time
Right.
engineer, you have to be able to make the kind of money that replaces whatever job you have.
Right.
So you're doing yourself and all these potential people you can help a disservice by undervaluing yourself.
Yeah. Um, Jessica, my wife, and I were just talking about this a little bit, because she has a very generous heart
Yes.
and wants to like, oh, they need this, we should buy it. And I'm just like, well, we need to pay our bills too. So, and so I'm like, you know, being stingy now at this time where we can build up some kind of wealth, you can then bless people because
Hmm.
you've built up the wealth. And I think like Dave Ramsey's big thing is like save like there's no tomorrow, and then once tomorrow comes, be as super generous. Like you can now bless people
Yep.
because you've spent a life of you were diligent, you're a good steward with what you were given, and now you're free to give.
Yeah.
But he like stresses you're free to give at that point. You need to be generous with your money
Hmm.
because you can't take it with you.
Nope.
Um, and I think that I don't follow this guy, I don't think, but some guy on Instagram, he like finds millionaires and billionaires on the street.
Oh, like, oh, how did you afford this
Yeah,
car?
yeah,
That
yeah,
guy?
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he came up to a guy and was like, I think he was driving like a Rolls Royce or something. He's like, yeah, this is one of two or three or something. He's like, well, what do you do? He's like, I work for God. He's like, Really?" And he said the same thing. He's like, because he's like, doesn't the Bible say something about money's being evil? He's like, no, no, the love of money is evil. He
Hmm.
causes people to be good with money and to acquire it and build wealth so you can be generous.
Hmm.
And I was like, and I think the interviewer guy was even just like, wow,
Yeah.
it's not something that, I think most Christians read those verses and go, I need to be poor. But it's like, I don't think that's the message there.
No, not at all. How you gonna help the poor if you poor?
Right. Right. I mean, that was, early churches was like they gathered their money and supported everyone.
Hmm.
I mean, I think that's why people want socialism, but
That's a whole
that's a
other
different
thing.
thing. Different than what the church did.
Yes.
Um, but the principle as a church member is you use your money to support those within your community.
Yep.
And that's the tithe and that's like, offerings and stuff. Um, but you have to be able you gotta have some money to do it. But it's like, the beauty of the church is you can come as you are, and everyone has seasons where they don't have,
Hmm.
and then there's seasons they have,
Hmm.
and the church sup is like a family that supports you through both of those.
Yep.
And usually, you have people supporting you on those low seasons, and then when you have a high season, you're able to bless the other person who is having a low season.
Exactly.
And it's like, I think that's the picture. It always comes back to God somehow, huh?
It does, man. It does. It does. And I'll say like as far as like success in my business, both in engineering, and recording and being an artist and my other business, man, bro, and this might be controversial because it just depends on who's watching this right now. But like,
Probably
but
no one.
right, hopefully
We'll
someone,
be honest. Maybe Jessica.
right? Maybe my wife too, and some of our friends. But yo, tithing, man, I just want to encourage like, yo, if you don't know God, look into him, bro. I'm not here to tell. I mean, I am here to tell you what I've found, and I used to be into a lot of different. ways of thinking and religions and things, and I was a very as the kids say, like new age spiritual guy. And I studied a lot. I studied Islam. I studied the Bhagavad Gita because I thought I was gonna be Hindu. Those are the two that I studied more expansively than other religions. Buddhism I studied lightly, but I ended up back at Christ. And I say, bro, if you tithe, bro, if you give to God, God will bless. He says it in His Word. He says it in Malachi. He will bless it. And it's such a principle that, like, even before the word was written, Moses, not Moses, who wasn't Moses? Who was before Moses? Abraham. Abraham, tithed to Melchizedek
Right. Yeah.
in Genesis. How was this man a priest before the word was even written? That's a whole crazy thing. But he tied to Melchizedek way before he even fully knew what was going on. And God blessed it. And God will bless you, bro. Man, I've seen crazy stuff happen. Even like during COVID, when everybody's stuff was dropped, I was making more money than I ever made at that time during COVID.
Yeah. Same.
Everybody wanted to record, everybody wanted a feature, everybody wanted stuff done.
Well, that's when I got into home recording.
Right?
And that's when I met you, basically. At least when the restrictions eased up a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, isn't there a theory that Melchizedek was Jesus?
that is one theory. Yeah.
I think I remember hearing that. I was like, what?
Nuts.
Yeah. I mean, he is God, so he could just show up whenever he wants, I
He
guess.
could if he wanted to.